Hi guys, I have a game for you, played by two young chess prodigies. The playing the white pieces is Leon Luke from India, who's a 14-year-old chess prodigy. He's a Grandmaster and he's very talented with a rating of 2,400. Um, Playing the black pieces is the youngest Grandmaster in the world, Abhimanyu. He became a Grandmaster 2 or 3 days ago, and he won his final Grandmaster norm in a tournament he played in Hungary. So the game begins with Leon plays d4. Abhimanyu plays the Grunfeld defense, d5. Instead of bishop e7, d6 king's Indian, which is more popular, d5, and Leon plays the sideline with bishop f4. He could have went for some. The main line would have been something like takes, and here you have two moves, but e4 is the main line. The other side variation is bishop g7. After that, bishop d2, bishop g7, e4, and now you take with the bishop. This is Hikaru plays this quite often against the Grunfeld, and this is the main line, after which bishop g7, c5, and you just pressurize white center. You give up the center and you try to pressure the center using your c5 pawn, the bishop on g7, and the knight and the queen. So castles, and then queen a4, again pressurizing the center, rook c1, and yeah, we have rook d8, and so on. So this is the Grunfeld opening. However, he goes for a non-main line with bishop f4, bishop g7, e3, castles, rook c1, and c5. Here you have to take the pawn on c5, which is spade, and bishop e6. Over here, if you take the d5 pawn, it's quite obvious. You would have to you would have this isolated pawn, and black is just having a nice position here. His pawn chain is better, and his bishop is actually quite strong now. And there's more, it's so easy to exert pressure onto this d4 pawn. It's eventually before. So that would be, and obviously you can't. Taking the queen is very difficult because you can't even capture it here, because this falls into basic tactic of taking on c3, and yeah, you just eliminate the defender with check. So yeah, this is just game over. So Leon just takes on c5, bishop e6, developing his bishop, and protecting the d5 square no further, and also probably threatening to take on c4 later. So knight f3, knight c6, developing his knight, bishop e2, queen a4, pressurizing the c5 square, and now knight g5 attacking, trying to ruin black's pawn structure. So Abhimanyu just defends his bishop with his knight. Now if knight takes, just take with the knight, and you still attack on you still have an attack on c5. If bishop g3 was played because of knight takes, then knight takes, and if c takes, then we can grab the bishop and then grab on c5, or grab on c5. And this is a nice position, and it has nice prospects for both sides. This bishop becomes quite strong too. And this pawn is isolated. Here bishop g3 was played, now you take on g4. Opening, clearing all the pawns in the center, takes, knight takes, queen a4, trying to exchange queens. Here takes on c5. And now take on c4, queen b6, going after like the b2 pawn. And here queen b3 was played, and now we see a queen trade, and we are already in an endgame now. Like, it's very close to an endgame. Knight c5, king e2, just trying to develop his king since they're entering the endgame. And now takes, and rook d8, rook d1, knight e8. Here Leon could have played rook a1 and now forcing the capture, because if he does nothing, if let's say he plays h6, he can actually take here and win up on e7. That's the idea of rook a1. But he takes and he trades all the rooks, and now it's equalish kind of position. And now knight f6, king c2, just defending this b2 pawn after the knight move, so that the knight can move now. Now knight d7, b4, to gain space on the queen side. f5, probably trying for some e5 to blunt this bishop and gain more space on the king side. Knight b5, a6, knight c7, king f7, stopping some knight e6 kind of ideas, trying to attack this bishop. Now b5, a5, ignoring and trying to not undouble white's double pawns here, still keeping this double pawn weakness. Knight d5, knight c5, bishop c7 attacking the pawn on a5, so a4, creating a possible outpost for the knight. And then now b4 ideas won't work because of en passant, so this would not work because of en passant. And so here they just play Leon just plays f3, and after which Abhimanyu just goes for king e6, knight c3, and now just captures and gains more space in the center, because the king is now more advanced. So black is slightly, like, it's equalish. If white just plays correctly, it's going to be most likely a draw, but black is definitely the one playing for a win here. Here bishop though white has a bishop and it's an open board and now closed position, so bishops tend to be better, but due to its black superior pawn structure and his advanced king, black is slightly better in this position. So e5, bishop e7, knight d3, going for this outpost. And now h3, he could have tried some king b4, after which knight d2 would have been played, and now we would have entered this kind of position where it's again slightly better for black. h3 just passively waiting, and now e4, going for trying to gain more space. Now Leon tries to relieve the tension by taking, and now pawn takes, which is not the best move. Definitely king takes and trying to go for the pawns is more logical here. I'm trying to reroute this knight to the king side. Probably if he moves his king to b4, he can always bring it to knight d2, knight c4, and try to go for these king side pawns. However, after after pawn takes, king b4 is played, going after the a4 pawn, knight d2. Now trying for some knight c4 ideas, forking these two pawns. So bishop f6 was played to deal with this knight c4 idea with bishop d4, defending both pawns. Now h5, just waiting, and now king takes a4. Now already white is slightly better because he's just a pawn up, but it's quite difficult to convert since these pawns are double pawns. So king c4 was played, knight b3, and knight c5, defending. Now again, bishop e5 is an idea, bishop d4 is an idea. So there are two moves that you can play. Playing knight e4 is bad here because now after you take and take, you can actually force a victory here after knight c5, which is forced to prevent the loss of a knight. So if he goes anywhere else, this knight's trapped. So anywhere else apart from knight c5, he would lose the knight. So after knight c5, you just grab and now you have to. It's crucial you play h4 and actually lock these pawns. These pawns can't push anymore, and you'd bring your king to f7 and win this. And black cannot come to the defense because of the b pawn or pass pawn over here. So this is completely winning for white. So knight e4 would have been a mistake, but Abhimanyu plays correctly knight b3 and bishop f6, and now it's all waiting, and finally Leon decides to take the pawn. Here it's complete draw, it's a dead draw position. So king d3, bishop f4, knight d2, king d4, and going after the e4 pawn, but there's nothing, like even though there's so much pressure on the e3 pawn, and probably it's gonna fall back. White already has a b pawn, b pass pawn, which he can use to his advantage. And here Abhimanyu plays a very clever move, knight f3. So here Leon takes, and Abhimanyu takes, and Leon takes, and which is a complete blunder. And now Abhimanyu just takes, and it's completely winning. So Leon plays this move. I want you guys to pause the video and find the winning move here. So the winning move would be something like g5, and now again forcing the bishop to move somewhere. So Leon just plays bishop f2, and now king e2 attacking the bishop, forcing the bishop to move somewhere. So now if the bishop moves to g1, you would play here and try to queen. So here Leon saw this, and he just went for his b4 idea, hoping it would work. But the problem is there's going to be a skewer, so he just takes. Everyone takes the bishop, takes the pawn, and he queens first. And now here Leon resigns, because if he queens, there's just this simple queen f4 idea, and he would lose this queen because of the skewer. So, and of course, if he plays something like bishop g1, we can play some king f1, and this is winning. Bishop h2, we have to actually make sure we don't play f2 here, because then he can actually trade, and then he would probably be winning because he would have this. So you have to precisely play king here, and now the bishop's completely trapped, and now you would try to win this. Here f2 again is a mistake.